So Roger, I learned something from you. Roger has an entrepreneur resort in Bali where you can go and you can do trainings in London, or you can actually go to Bali. I went on one of those, and you were talking a lot about social commerce and the marriage of e-commerce and social media and how it comes together. How do you see that impacting business, investing, how people are doing things because it's not just the technology, there's social changes as well.
So I think we're in the second, moving to the third phase of this already. So the three phases, which actually also underpin the whole basis of what's going to be happening with blockchain, is social communication, and then social commerce, and then social capital. Where social communication is really like social media. It's basically many to many. It's like how do we actually get to a point where it's not just one to one or just one to many, but it's actually many to many, where we're all involved in the conversation. Social media, built out from that way. We've seen all these billion-dollar businesses grow up in the last 10 years out of that. Social commerce is the same thing. It's like, how do you get many to many, where you actually can have everyone much more likely to buy from other people based on the trust that they have with the people that recommend it, right? So Amazon is based on social commerce. So most of us are still in our businesses not even using social commerce effectively, where it's actually our best customers that are referring to others in a really easy way that allows us to then actually make more money as well, and then actually get the right products out to the right people. That if you do that in the right way, that can make all the difference. But social commerce basically is the whole idea of exponential conversation, which is what happens in social media, becoming now exponential business, which happens in social commerce. And all the fastest growing business in the world are doing social commerce right now. While even entrepreneurs, many of them don't. Social capital is the next step, which is now many to many. Obviously, the entire stock exchanges around the world have become many to many. Anyone anywhere in the world can buy share an Apple, and they can do it from multiple exchanges or multiple platforms. But they're going to be able to do it with property, which is one of the topics for tonight. And that whole concept of social capital, the third element, is where we're moving to as well. So for me, it's a huge aspect, because you wouldn't be able to have the massive boom in people wanting to invest in Bitcoin or wanting to invest in cryptocurrencies if you didn't already have people interested in social capital, right? And really willing to say, I'm willing to take that risk because I actually trust the people around me, and the fact they're buying it more than I trust the government. And so because of that, I'm going to buy them anyway. And then we're all in the boat together, and we'll figure it out. So that for me is a really key.
And where do you see that going in big capital assets, like real estate or others, in terms of social capital? What does that mean in terms of actual applications and this building?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because a lot of people right now say, hey, Uber works because no one has to own the asset, and no one has to own the car, right? But the moment a car company comes along, maybe it'll be Tesla, maybe someone else, and says, hey everyone, every time you actually go on a trip in our car, you get a share in the cost, which means all the cars are actually owned by all of you, right? So instead of saying, Uber will earn all the cars and make all the money, and we'll just own nothing, it's like, no, we'd rather go with a car company where we can just pick up any car at any point and we own all the cars, right? And that's social capital. So those companies will take over from the Ubers that are there today. And that's where the opportunities for everybody, because everyone can do that. Similarly, in terms of the number of different, talking about, property, cryptocurrencies, or even property exchanges that are built on blockchain, they're going to take over from all the developers and all of the real estate companies that are actually going out there trying to find it the old-fashioned way, one at a time or one to many. And so that's going to change everything. If you think at the end of the day, there's no reason to have to go into all the effort of owning any one thing, but you can own a tiny percentage of everything you want to own a part of, and we can all effectively then create a whole different world where we are making a choice of what we get involved in, and not with decoupling reward with liquidity, right? So because the biggest issue in the past has always been, if I want to get a bigger reward, I need to be in a position where I'm privileged because I'm either an investor that's already recognized by the government as being a sophisticated investor. Therefore, I can get involved in hedge funds that other people aren't involved in. I've got different rules from everyone else. I can have a different choice in liquidity. Everyone else has to kind of go the old-fashioned route. This actually just levels the playing field. I think one of the biggest things that struck me in the year 1999 to 2000 was a quote that I read from Milton Friedman, where he said that the 21st century will be the century of private money, which basically means government money will disappear eventually. And the way I termed that was that we'd just gone through a century in the 1900s, the 20th century, which was all about the capitalization of democracy. It was the fact that anyone in democracy could figure out a way to create capital, which is what happened, which is why so many people started getting successful. And that we're shifting from the capitalization of democracy to democratization of capital, where we're actually taking all that capital that's been created and we're now letting anyone, anywhere, play the game. And that's where the real power is.
So to give you a concept of that, who here owns a game reserve, a Big 5 game reserve in Africa? I'm dead serious.
Behind you.
So Roger and their team put together a concept called e-resorts, entrepreneurial resorts. They started with a resort in Bali. The second thing they did was find a Big 5 game reserve in South Africa near the Botswana border. And through our platform, 197 investors from 20 different countries actually bought and owned into that asset. So I'm just giving you a real life story of what people have actually possibly done. And it's not where we're going, it's already happened. You know?
But that will happen in the last 12 months. I mean, like, what happened was we took Entrepreneur Resorts, we took it from zero to a listed company with the plan for 50 beach clubs, 5 resorts, and people investing in. And we had people in South Africa who were saying, why on earth would you invest in South Africa? Because they were trying to get the money out of South Africa. They, why would you invest in South Africa? And I was saying, well, the rand has dropped 30% against the US dollar in the last year. If you had a store which had a 30% discount, wouldn't you go and have a look, right? And so we're buying at a 30% discount than what we would have bought a year ago. And they go, yeah, but still it's very unstable, and we're trying to get our money out. And we go, no, because we're actually buying this through a socialist company, which is a listed company in US dollars. And if you want to invest, you can take your money out of rand into US dollars and invest into our company, which then doesn't just own the South African resort. It owns a resort in Bali, it owns a resort coming up like in Europe, it owns all the beach clubs. So you're pitching against everything with as little as $1,000. And that's the power today, is that was reserved for the super wealthy to be able to do that kind of thing just 20 years ago.
Yeah.